So let's talk about the 0.16 wipe and patch. Now this is coming with the winter wipe, or the New Year's wipe as it's also referred to. So obviously we should be expecting this sometime around New Year's or Christmas. Now Nikita and BSG recently had another TarkovTV broadcast where they announced some more info regarding the wipe and what we're getting with it. One of the major disappointments to a lot of people was that we are not getting, or did not get, Unity 2022 with the 0.15.5 patch that we got like a little bit over a week ago for Halloween. This was not necessarily promised, but it was kind of expected because they put it on the roadmap for 0.15.5. But roadmaps are nothing to trust, and development never goes according to plan, and we know that to be especially true with BSG. So to me, this was no surprise, and it's not really a big deal either to me, to be honest. And they did say that they are hopeful about including it with 0.16 instead, so they're simply just pushing it back to the next major patch. They say it's due to technical issues, and that they're worried about pushing the Unity update, this update, with 0.15.5. And I think Nikita even called it kind of scary to do so because of how much of the base game that it touches and could potentially mess up.
And the Unity 2022 update touches a lot of basic things, and it's kind of scary to run.
So therefore they decided to wait with it, to, I'm assuming, just get it more stable and be more confident that they aren't breaking the rest of the game by introducing it. Which, to be honest, considering how many problems Tarkov has, I'm fine with. I don't want them to break more of Tarkov. That's cool. If you want to wait with it. I'm okay with it. Now, 0.16 will be really big, according to Nikita, and especially if it gets Unity 2022 as well. That's going to be very interesting. Now, to the big hitters of this 0.16 patch, the first of those is the RPG 26. Now, this is fascinating. Because this is a single-use RPG. So they state, as far as I understood Nikita, that this is mainly to counter the BTR. I think he said to counter the APC, but I think he meant the BTR when he said APC. But the BTR is hardly relevant for most of the game, right? Most of the time in the games, right? It's also only on streets and woods. So unless they plan on making changes to how the BTR functions in a raid, I don't really see this being very useful because most people now just ignore the BTR entirely. So it's very interesting. They did mention something more about the BTR, which I'll get to later, which could make this relevant, but I don't know. It just seems like a kind of, weird introduction. They did say that they didn't want to introduce the RPG-7 because that's a multiple rockets RPG, right? It can refire. As long as you have rockets, you can keep shooting it. Whereas the RPG-26 is a single use, so it's fire and discard, right? Just like an AT-4 or something like that. So I think they decided to do that just because, that's not immediately going to completely fuck up the balancing of the game. Now, people are obviously very scared about this being shitty for the game, and I think it all depends, because if it's expensive and cumbersome to carry around, which I think it should be, then you are probably not going to see it very much. People were also very concerned about the grenade launchers, and to be honest, those are hardly used in the game. Like, hardly used. I have not been killed by or even seen a player with a grenade launcher this entire wipe. I'm not kidding, and I've played quite a lot this wipe. I've not seen a single one in a player's hands. The only grenade launcher I've seen was the one that was on Partisan when I killed him, right? Like, that's the only grenade launcher I've seen this entire wipe, right? So, yeah, they're powerful. Like, the grenade launchers are very powerful, but they're not necessarily going to be used a lot because of that, right? So it all depends on how they're implemented. Now, we are also getting another heavy hitter, which is the prestige system. So after reaching certain conditions in levels and tasks, is how they put it, you can reset your character for various bonuses. So there's going to be 10 prestige levels, but we're starting with 2 of them. So in 0.16, we're getting 2 prestige levels. Now, when you prestige, you will get certain rewards, right? So that can be main menu backgrounds. It can be clothing, dog tags, like special containers, voices, armbands, figurines, melee weapons, and I think maybe a couple of other things they mentioned. So it sounds like this is going to be just aesthetic stuff, right? Like, it's just aesthetic, cosmetic, nothing that really impacts the game in really any way. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is the like special containers. I think that just means special looking containers, because I don't see why they would introduce like more storage space or stuff like that. That would just kind of fuck up the game, and they would just have another controversy with people buying EOD and shit like that. So I think they don't want to step into that bear trap again. So I'm assuming this is just aesthetic and cosmetic stuff. The other thing that could be interesting is melee weapons, because melee weapons actually have different properties, like in attack speed and damage. So, you know, if they introduce new unique melee weapons, they could actually be balanced a little bit different. Again, melee weapons, no one uses, so I don't really mind it too much. Now, this is only going to be for PvP, so you're not going to be able to prestige in PvE, just PvP. I don't know if they're going to stick with that for very long, but at least when it's coming in 0.16, that's what it's going to be like. So very, very interesting system. I'm very, very excited about it. They didn't really talk much more about it, but I'm assuming they're just going to keep adding to it and implementing more prestige levels and stuff like that, and more rewards as they make the rewards, right? So that's just going to be a cool thing to see how it evolves. Now, something very interesting about the prestige system to think about is how is this going to affect BSG's approach to wipes? Because when you introduce the prestige system, how are you going to handle wipes, right? Like, does this mean that BSG is going to stop wiping? Is there going to be a longer time between each wipe? How are they going to do it, right? Because if you have a person, you know, or are they just going to say, fuck it? Like, okay, you've prestiged once, that's all you had time for, right? So you're going to wipe halfway to your second prestige. The game wipes. Do you then start at first prestige again? Does it wipe you all the way? What happens, you know? Because then it's going to be a race to get to prestige as many times as you want. If you're one of the people who are going to care about that, it's going to be a race to prestige as many times as you can before they wipe the game, right? So how are they going to do that? It would be very interesting to hear their thoughts on this, because this might be something of a little bit more concern than what people are, you know, thinking about. You know, like, what does this mean for wipes? You know, are they going to keep wiping normally? Are they going to extend wipes, so they're going to wipe rarer, you know, and just bet on the fact that, well, you know, people who want to do the quests again, they can just prestige, you know, and the people who don't, they don't, you know, which again is going to be a problem, because, you know, the whole point of a wipe is that everyone starts with the same, you know, starts at the same place. Everyone's on the same playing field, right? That's the attractiveness of a wipe. You know, it's like for people to prestige and then no one else around you who plays the game, or no one else in the game has prestige, or very few, right? Then you're just playing at a disadvantage, you know? It's not going to be the same as a wipe. So it's fundamentally different. So I'm very, very interested to see how they're going to do that, what that means basically for the game, and the wipe cycles, and how wipes are going to be done. Very, very interesting to think about. Now, the other big thing that they talked about was the customs rework. So apparently this is a total rework, according to Nikita, where they have added buildings, additional buildings that are now explorable, that used to not be. So, for example, the factory building, this is what they showed on TarkovTV, was the factory building that's next to construction. It's like between construction and crack house. So this is going to be very interesting to see some new buildings, but it's going to be a total rework, right? So very, very interesting. They're going to touch the entire map, I'm assuming that means. They're not just adding stuff to it. So very, very interesting. They said that this is going to take kind of the same approach as the factory rework, whatever that means. So that's going to be interesting. Still too dark. No, I'm kidding. But very, very interesting. Very interesting. I'm very excited to see what it turns out to be like. Customs is one of my least favorite maps at the moment. It's a map that it is one of the oldest maps in the game, and it does deserve a little bit of love, I think. Yeah, would be very, very interesting to see. Now, Woods is getting new territories, apparently, whatever that means. They also mentioned a new depot area, which I'm a little bit confused if that is actually the area that they introduced now, which is where Prapor's trader location and stuff is supposed to be, where you can like this. You've probably seen the videos. It's this new secret area in Woods, you know. I don't know. Maybe that's what they mean, because that is that technically looks like a train depot. So that could be what they mean, and that they just added it in early. I don't know, and we'll see a more fleshed out version of that come 0.16. That could be very interesting. But they did mention new territories in general, so it's probably not going to be the only new thing. If not, new depot could also be something entirely new, you know, that reworks one of the areas on the map or something. But I'm assuming it's the area that we just discovered. They also mentioned quests from BTR, so we can get quests from the driver inside the BTR, which is very interesting. I think they said quests from driver, but it could also maybe be quests from other traders that involve the BTR in some way or form. So that could be very interesting. That's very cool. I would like to see them make more work of the BTR, because it is a very underused aspect, and it's when it was implemented, it was very underwhelming compared to what they sold it in as. You know, they were like, "Oh, we gotta get the BTR. It's gonna be just change up the map entirely, and wow, it's gonna be so sick." And then it's just this guy who drives around, and everyone just ignores him. So I would love to see them use the BTR more. So I'm very excited about that. And you know, hey, like I said earlier, with the RPG 26, this is maybe where that becomes more relevant. You know. So very, very excited about that. I can't wait to see what that's going to be like. They also mentioned new exit types on locations, I believe was the pretty much exact phrasing, which, again, it's so general that I don't know exactly what to take away from that. I'm assuming this means new extracts. So we're going to get new extracts on certain maps maybe, or maybe new extracts with the rework. So customs, for example, with its rework is going to get some new extracts. Maybe woods with some of the new territories is going to get new extracts. I don't know. Very interesting. We'll see. The other thing they mentioned that was, I think, a long time coming is hideout customization. So what this means, again, probably just cosmetic. I doubt that you're going to be able to move stuff around or change the layout and stuff, even though that would be very cool. I would be very, very, very fond of the idea of changing the layout, because it does seem very modular, right? Like when you just look in and you have this like sort of isometric look at your hideout, it does seem very easy to change that up. That could be very cool. But I'm assuming this is just going to mean you can paint the walls and you can add decor. And that's going to be it, at least initially. But we'll see. We'll see. Probably just another system that they're introducing, and then they're going to keep expanding on it in future patches. We are getting winter camouflages, which I'm very excited about, because obviously we are getting winter again with the 0.16 patch. I'm loving fall right now. Fall is fantastic. It's amazing. Fall is super fun. It's the best the game has looked, in my opinion. But I'm very, very excited for the winter again, and getting snow back. So going to be very fun. No one can hide in fucking bushes anymore. So that's going to be good. I'm very, very, very pumped for that. But with that, like I said, winter camouflages. So they said that this is coming to most gear, or like a lot of gear. They only showed like a few things, but apparently this is coming to a wider selection of equipment and gear. So very cool. We are also getting a new bolt-action rifle, which is the Sako TRG M10 338 Lapua Magnum. Now, new gun, cool, can't complain. The only thing is, I wish they utilized the 338 caliber more, because it's very restrictive, it's very hard to get. It's also not really quite powerful enough, I think. Like, I don't know if it should be necessarily, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it seems a little bit underwhelming. I wish the 338, because I think it's a really cool caliber. It has a lot of really cool platforms that I would love to see in the game, and that I would love to actually use myself. But it's not very accessible. It's not very good. It feels very underwhelming to use them. So I wish they reworked a little bit how 338 works. But besides that, cool. We're getting quality of life stuff. They just said this, again, very general, but one of the things they mentioned specifically was uninterrupted healing by just holding the heal button. So if you have your heal bound to 4, you can just hold 4, and you'll just keep healing new body parts every time the loop continues, right? Or the loop repeats. So, you know, nice. We are also getting detailed post-raid stats, which I'm assuming is just going to be an expansion on the death report system that we kind of have right now. I would love to see just something as simple as like, dude, show me the direction I got shot from. Like, I just want to know that. Like, what angle did I get shot from? That would be so enlightening and would just help tremendously with learning what I did wrong and how I died, right? So I think this is also a good thing because so many people who play this game are like, oh, there's fucking cheaters everywhere. Everyone's a fucking cheater. I just get killed by cheaters in like 50% of my raids. And it's like, no, you're not. You're just fucking shit at the game. And I think it would help people to see that, right? People would see their own flaws and how they misplayed a situation if they could actually see stuff in more detail regarding how they died, right? So I think that would be a good addition, you know? I don't know what else they could possibly include with this, you know, besides just stuff like that. But it could be very fun. I'm very excited. Hopefully this is quite in-depth and it is quite extensive, the amount of information that you can get. I think that would help the game massively. I think it would get rid of a lot of cheating suspicions. And I think players would be able to way easier learn as they play, right? And learn how they misplayed a situation and how they could play it better. So I'm very, very pumped for that. We're getting weapon mastery rebalance. Again, they don't really specify or go in depth on this. They just say that we're getting it. I don't really know what it means. It could be that maybe weapon mastery is actually going to matter now because it's kind of a trivial thing to me at this point. I think the general masteries are kind of okay because, you know, you have assault rifle and stuff like that, which reduces recoil and yada, yada, yada. Very cool idea, but it's very linear. It's kind of boring. You just passively progress it, right? So I'd love to see them expand on this a little bit. I think that would be very cool. It's one of the cooler RPG elements I think they have, but again, it's very underused. Now, one of the other really controversial things they spoke about is booby trapping containers and dead bodies. This is going to be fucking ass, okay? You know, try not to get overboards here. And I'm trying not to panic, just like earlier when I talked about the RPG 26. I don't want to panic myself here, but I have a feeling if they don't implement this correctly, this is just going to be the rats are fucking frothing in the corner right now, okay? They're just sitting there like yes, just rubbing their hands together, just fucking counting the hours to point 16 comes out. So I'm really hoping they implement this in a sensible way. If not, this is going to be terrible, okay? Now, tripwires are very underused. Again, just like with the grenade launchers and the RPG, the tripwires is a comparable implementation here, right? Everyone was super scared about it. Turns out, people don't really use it very much. And when they use it, you can reasonably easily get away from it, besides maybe VOG 25s that are a little bit more sketch. But yeah, it all depends on the implementation. Like, the only thing I ask is give me a visual cue, right? Because I think it's fine if they want to introduce booby trapping and stuff, which can punish people who are not double checking a body or not whatever, not making sure that something's clear. That's fine. I don't really care too much about it. But I should be able to check a container. I should be able to check a dead body in some way, shape, or form to make sure I don't get blown up, right? And then it should be relatively obvious. You know, so I should be able to see the booby trap or something like that. If not, it's going to be terrible. So again, I'm not going to sit here and speculate too much, but I'm just excited to see about what this is going to be like. Okay, let's move on from that. We're going to get a quest rework, loot zone rework, and sound engine improvements. Apparently, this is something they try and do every wipe. So cool. Sound engine improvements. We definitely, desperately need that. And we also could really use some loot zone reworks. I really, really want high-value loot zones back in the game. Loot zones are extremely, extremely underwhelming right now. I wish they rework some of this and actually make higher value areas on maps that are actually worth going to and fighting over again. I'm really, really tired of just floating around the map and not really wanting to go to high-value areas because keys are not worth buying. It's not worth the risk, you know. It's just terrible. So I think the loot zone rework can really, really use some work. So hopefully they succeed there. We're also getting recoil rework, which, interesting. Apparently the recoil is supposed to be the exact same, but you're just supposed to have some more variation in the animations so that they're less stiff, I guess, right? So they're not supposed to be as rigid and as stiff as they kind of are right now. So they're supposed to have a little bit more natural motion to them. So that's going to be very interesting. But apparently recoil itself is not going to change.
So it's still the same recoil that we have. We just added this additional rotating things just to have it more like, you know, natural kind of feel. It's still the same. people say like no, and it's bad. Guys, what the fuck? Like, basically, we didn't change the recoil. Come on, we didn't change it. We didn't change the recoil. We just added some of this, you know, like things like what? Okay, fuck it. Okay, we won't do it. Okay. Motion seek, blah 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 blah.
We are also getting some other minor additions with the patch, and one of the things is a new grenade, which is called the V40. It's like this small little grenade. It looks like I don't know, fucking, it looks like a small grape or something. It looks kind of ridiculous. It looks comically small. They're also mentioning the M18 yellow smoke grenade. We already have the green one in the game, which, you know, doesn't really serve a purpose besides, you know, triggering voice lines when farming killa and shit. So that's going to be kind of interesting. They did say that they're introducing these primarily to Arena first, as far as I understood it, and that they're eventually going to put these into EFT. So they're not specifically stated to come in 0.16, but that seems to be the most likely patch to include them in, right? Now, the M18 is very, very interesting to me because it looks like it could actually serve a purpose in EFT, and it could actually block visual sightlines, right? So you could actually use it to generate soft cover in situations where you could need it. You could block off the sightlines in a hallway, you know, stuff like that, because it's actually thick enough and blooms large enough for it to actually do that. So I'm really excited because that could actually see some use in Tarkov. We are also getting a remodeled MPX, which is, you know, cool, I guess. I mean, I don't mind it. I don't really see why the MPX, because I don't think it looks particularly bad. I don't think it looks good either, but I don't think it's even close to one of the older weapon models and textures in the game. So I don't know why specifically they wanted to do that one, but, you know, it's cool nonetheless. We are getting a 5.56 100 round drum mag, the boss style, in addition to a 100 round 9mm Uzi drum mag. So a couple of new drum mags are coming, which is going to be, I don't know, interesting, I guess. So that's it. That's kind of what we learned from 0.16 and or 4.16 from the TarkovTV. I'm very excited. Hopefully everyone else is as well. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the implementations of stuff and some of the stuff that they brought up. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think it's going to be like? Are you excited? Are you not? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, hopefully you found this video interesting. If you did, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.